You ready?
Yeah, so pray and
Okay.
get started.
All right.
A little introduction there. Not introduction, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because then other people will be watching this.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out. We're going to be covering the ProPresenter 6 today, going over the how-tos and everything with that. But let's go ahead and pray before we get started. So, Lord, I thank you, Father, for this day. I thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to learn. I ask you, Lord, that you would just impart wisdom and understanding in everything that we do. I ask you, Lord, that you would just soften our hearts, Lord, that you would just allow us to do this for your glory, Lord, that everything that we do would be to glorify you, Lord God. I thank you, Father, for making this presentation informative and that we'll learn everything that we need to, Lord God. And I ask you, Father, for favor and peace in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, let's get started.
What's our format? What are we going to try to do?
So the whole idea, try to get familiar with the software. So I'm going to put it up here on the screen. We'll kind of go through step by step what each portion of the software is. Kind of go through a live production of what we're going to be doing whenever we're presenting for the worship and everything. Pull up verses, stuff like that, and then we'll go through how to load songs and how to get everything set up ahead of time as well. So we'll kind of go step by step. If you guys have any questions throughout the process, just interject and let me know, and I'll try to answer everything I can throughout that process. Any questions before we get started? Did anybody get a chance to watch those videos that were sent? Yes. Okay. Good deal. Those things are pretty detailed. We're not going to go into as much detail with that. We're going to kind of overview and look at how it's applicable to us. Some of that stuff in there is not really applicable to what we're doing. So you'll probably see some redundant stuff through there, but we'll go through it anyways. All right, here we go. Control 1. All right. So to start with, whenever it comes up, you'll this is typically the first screen that you'll come up to. So you'll see the toolbar across the top. We're going to go ahead and start out with the layout of that one. And so when you get started in there, you'll see all these toolbars on the top. So you'll see clear all, slides, backgrounds, logos. Basically what this is for the live production stuff. So whenever you go live on a background, you'll see, or if you put up a slide, for example, you'll see what comes up on that one. And it'll preview over here what you're going to be looking at. Same thing right there. If you hit the background, it'll show you that over there. If you wanted to clear just the background, you can hit that icon right there, and it'll leave the words up there for you. Or if you want to clear the slides, let's put the background up and then the slides on top of that. You can hit the slides and it'll clear the slides but leave the background. And so if you have it all up there, you can just clear all and that'll take everything off of there for you. And then we also have the logo that's loaded up there too. So if there's really nothing going on, I'll typically try to put that up just so that we have our church logo up there like that. Correct, yes. And so as we move across the new and the editor, this is for the songs whenever we get ready to put those in. So you can hit new and it'll add a new file name. You can choose the category that it's going to be under. So presentation, adjust the size and everything like that. And again, we'll go through this later in more detail with that. And then the editor. So if we were looking at a song that you wanted to edit, just choose editor. Or you can actually right-click and edit slide, and it'll bring that. Yes, Bonnie? Did you say that where you edit a new song? That's one place, yes. We'll actually do it a different way whenever we get ready to do it. I found an easier way to do it as opposed to that. So as we move across, you'll see the web. So you can actually pull up the internet and add web pages and stuff like that, YouTube, to the schedule, videos and images. This is where we have all of our backgrounds and announcements and all that kind of stuff will be loaded down here. And so we'll go through these later and I'll show you a little more detail about that kind of stuff. Audio, we can actually, if we have music or audio files on here, we can import them into this and then play them through there. the volume control, and then messages. The messages is one of those. I actually used it, I think last week or the week before for the first time. We needed to get that information up there for somebody, and so we put that up there and just show message, and it shows it across all 3 of the screens. So really convenient as far as that goes. Wait, I cleared it. Here we go. Yeah. So it'll show the message up there on that one. You're welcome. And then I currently have it set up to display for a short time period, so it's just 5 seconds. So you can adjust it and, until I remove, or however long you want to for that. Is everybody leaving me now? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. My apologies. All right. It is my fault. I'll take it. All right. So next we come up to the Bibles. And this is another variation from the way it used to be.
Right.
Oh, let's bring this.
Can you focus on that one for a minute? Because
I will. Let's bring it in. Okay. And so, again, I'll cover more details a little bit later. I'll just kind of give it a preview of this toolbar. Overview, yeah. Right, exactly, yeah. Yeah, and we'll start trimming down later after that. So, social media, you can add that in there as well. So that's another feature that we can incorporate into this. The clocks, we can set up some time for when the service starts, you know, that kind of thing. Run that up there, and then the reflow allows you to go through and change how the songs are arranged. Format, another one that you can apply certain formats to the slides that we have out there, and then the
change the words from that one?
No.
Okay.
You just change the format, the way it looks. So the text, the font, the size, that kind of stuff. And then output would be the one that needs to be on before you can see anything. So the output, when you first bring up ProPresenter, you're not going to see anything. You'll just see basically the desktop, which is what we're looking at right now. And so when it comes up, if you're ready to see a background, you'll have to turn the output on. Typically it's red when it first comes on, so it's not active. But once you click on it, it'll turn it to green, which it'll take that away for now. But it'll turn it green, and then you'll know that your output is live up there. All right. So any questions with those for the time being? We're going to go ahead and kind of go through the layout as well. So as I said, this will be your preview of what you'll see when you're going live. And then as we go through, this is the library. And so with this, you can search any song that we have will be considered part of the library. Any announcements as well will be considered part of the library. And so you can actually search for any song that you want to. It'll pull up anything that has to do with what you're searching for. So if it has the word holy in there, if it's part of the title, whatever it is, you can search it through there. To get a little more detailed with the search, you can filter through presentations, through the Bible, or through announcements. So presentation is basically going to be the songs that we import. So every song that's going to be in there is considered a presentation. So that'll come up a little bit later whenever we do that. So again, we've got those songs in there. Currently, we're still populating the database of presentations. Whenever we copied it over from the previous software, it did not transpose everything like it's supposed to. So I've gone in and imported a lot of the stuff manually, but I'm still doing that as we add new songs and do songs that we haven't done in a really long time. So, I mean, again, you guys might have to do that at some point in time, but again, we'll cover how to do that. As we move forward, we'll have the playlist down here. This will be the schedule, and as you can see, we've been using this since July. But every time you add a schedule, it'll save it in there, and you can go back and look at the songs that you did, and go through and adjust it that way. So each week, I like to add a new schedule for the date. That way, it'll keep it, I guess, organized. But basically,
how did you add the date?
whenever we add that, I'll show you right now, but you just click on the plus down here, and it'll bring it up, and you can do a new playlist.
Okay.
So, I mean, for example, we can go ahead and get stuff set up for tomorrow if you guys want. And let's drag this down if we can. Ah, dang it. Sorry. Yeah. So we'll go down to the last one. Come on. Come on. It's working slow. Give me just a second. There we go. All right. So we'll click plus on there and then create a new playlist. That way it'll drop it down underneath. And when it first creates it, it'll come up. There's no songs loaded in there, but it'll be highlighted. So you can just add, again, the date of what you, nope. It is October 1st, 10/1/17. And so that'll create, for now, yes.
Well, we need to save them in case something goes wrong with the system and they're already there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and the good thing about this software, it saves automatically. In the previous one that we used, you had to go through and manually save it.
Right.
Once you create it in this software, it's saved, so you don't have to do any kind of saving. I did. Once you create a new playlist, it pops up blue. You can just delete what's in there. Yes, and then I typed in the date. And then at that point, what? Okay. And then at that point, you can start adding songs to the schedule. And so this is where the songs will be added. So again, whenever we go through here, you can search the library for the presentation or the song that we'll be doing. And I haven't gotten the song list yet, so I'll get that. But God is Love, for example. So if we're doing that one, we'll just left click on it and hold your left click down and drag down to this icon. And you'll see the little plus icon over there. And so you can just drop it in there, let go of your left click, and it will add that song to the list. Another one, same thing, left click, hold it, and drag. And you can actually order the songs as you drop them in there. And so that way, whoever's leading, if you can get their order, which isn't always the case, but kind of get a tentative order for that, that'll help you with going through the songs when the worship is live.
So how do you delete one of the songs if you pull the wrong one over?
So if you don't want one, just right click and remove from playlist.
Okay.
And it'll take it out of that playlist for
So
you.
anytime you add a song, it automatically goes to the date that you set it, the playlist, the last one?
As long as that one is highlighted. So if you see here, 10/1 is highlighted.
Okay.
So that's the one that you're adding to.
Okay.
So if you're on,
Make sure it's highlighted.
yes ma'am.
Okay.
So if you're on 9/10, you'll see all the songs from that day, for example. You'll be like, wait a minute, we're not doing those. Oh, okay, it's 10/1. And so you can jump down and get back to that one. Yes, ma'am, you can. You can move the songs around. So once you've added it in there, if you needed to adjust it, you can adjust it accordingly. That's not a good one to add. So we'll add that one. And so, again, I mean, as the songs change, personal preference of mine, whenever we're going through the playlist, as we're going through worship, as they do a song, I'll move it up to the correct order. And that way I know that song's done. I'm just moving down from that point forward.
I try to do the order it already is.
Right. And so that way it'll kind of help speed up the process. You're not looking for a song as they start. One good feature, or one thing I do like about it, if you hit this contiguous button, it will put all the songs in order in your set list, more or less. And so that way you can just kind of scroll through and you pick your song, adjust the words, you change it through, and it goes live back and forth on that one. Any questions with the library playlist, setting the playlist? Yes, no? Nope. What's that? Okay. Yes, we will. No, that's okay. No worries. And so we've got one more icon down here. So this one, it will expand the playlist. So it just gives you playlist mode. So what it does basically just takes away the multiple playlists and takes away the library and just gives you the songs. So if we're having a lot of songs or a lot of scripture verses that have been added in here, then this would be what you would want to do. You can expand it that way. You can see everything listed in order. And again, if you want a contiguous mode where everything's loaded in there, you can do that, but this will help you kind of like the outline and then the details, the meat of the presentation.
How do you add a scripture to the playlist?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Yes, we're working our way through. So the next area is the, I guess the set list, how everything's going through. I guess we've got 2 previews on this one, but this is where all the songs are loaded. And so within this one, typically whenever I load a song in there, what I like to do is add a background to it so that whenever you go to that song, for example, this one, you have a background loaded first and then the rest of the lyrics. And what you do, you just basically click on the background when you want to go live and it projects it up here on the preview. I don't know, you guys might want to come back here and look at it over my shoulder so we can go live up there. You guys want to do that? No, it'll still cover it up. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to see how you put a background to it.
So whenever we add the background, I'll go ahead and put this on output. So we'll have the output up there. But basically just click on the background. Let's clear it all. And so basically whenever you go live, this is what you're going to see if you haven't chosen any backgrounds or any slides or anything like that. So you'll click on the background and it'll put it up there live. Next, you just click on the next song that's in order. So as you go through, it'll show you each song. Right. You click on it, and once you click on it on this section of it, it'll put it live up here on this one. And you can still preview it up here whenever it's up there. And kind of click through. Again, I mean, you'll have everything in order through there, so I mean, it makes it super easy as far as going through the presentation, going through the process of presenting. At times, they'll have some like jam sessions where they just kind of don't play any lyrics or not singing anything. That's where the clear the slides function comes in handy, because you can just clear the slide and you'll just have some backgrounds because there's no lyrics going on. Or if they just start flowing in the Holy Spirit and they're not singing any particular words, take the focus away from the words that are on the screen. Right. Just put up a clear background, something that would be fitting for that situation, and keep the words off of it. And then when you're ready to go back, basically just click on the words again and it puts it back up there for you.
So if you have a song that doesn't have a background, how do you add a background to it to save it?
If you...
Like, see how that was...
This one up here does not, yes.
Okay.
So this is a great example of what you would do for that. So go down to, just choose, again. All right, so the next section would be the video and images. And so this is where all the backgrounds will be. Let me make this bigger. And all these on the left side, again, are like the outline, and then these will be the details, the meat of it. So each one has a different set of backgrounds in there.
So can we put it back up here,
Mm-hmm.
work off the screen now instead
Yes.
of in the booth?
Yes, we can.
That way the live stream people can see it.
Yes.
And I'll work on that, Ken. I need to get that up.
Come on.
So everybody come back out here. You'll put it up on the screen. I'm doing that because we're recording.
Mm-hmm. Let's do this. So again, you make that go live, and then that would be the backgrounds. When you first come up, like I said, there's typically not a background on there. It'll just be a black screen when you go to output. which is what we'll be seeing over here. Whenever you want to add a background, basically just go through on this left side for the outline and choose the background that you want. And whenever you guys get a chance to sit back here and actually do that, you can go through and kind of preview what we have available. But Bonnie, to answer your question, when you want to choose a background, choose one of those categories, and whichever one you think would go well with that song, you just left click, hold your left click button, and just drag it up here. And what you're looking for when you do this is that little blue line. You see that blue line in front of that first slide? When you see that, that's where you're going to drop it. And so that'll drop a new slide in there. And so that'll add that new background to the song. And so next time when you come back to that song, it'll still be there. And again, this program saves automatically, so you don't have to go through and save anything. But again, you just click on the background, and everything that we do is done in layers. So whenever you click on something, it adds that to the top layer automatically. So if you, for some reason, choose or don't choose a background, let's just clear that background out, and you put the lyrics up, it'll show the lyrics, but you're like, oh wait, I forgot to put on the background. If you click on the background, it's going to take those lyrics away because it's going to load the background first. And then it'll add that one in there, and it'll put the lyrics back on top of it for that one. Clear as mud?
So clear.
Awesome. All right.
Once you did that, it always stays there now.
It does, yes. Once you hit the background on, then the background stays. And
Change it again.
you can, yes, yes. And you can, the lyrics will just sit on top of that. And correct, yes. So, I mean, you could technically just drag it up there and drop it on top, and that would overlay what was already up there. And so you can change the background for each song if you wanted to do that. Or while you're doing the presentation, if you see that background and you change it and then tempo changes, you're like, oh, I think I want a different background, then you can jump down to these video and images section and actually choose a different background from here. When you choose it from down in this area, it does not take the words away, it just changes the background scene. So, correct. It doesn't save it in the schedule or save it on that particular presentation, but it does allow you some variation while we're doing the presentation or doing worship or whatever it is. So there's always options to change the backgrounds while you're going live.
Justin, I also learned too in the songs like the chorus and the verse or whatever, if you've got 1, 2, 3, so you can also use the arrows to scroll over instead of using the mouse.
Correct, yes. Yes, so you can use the left and right arrow to go through in numerical order if that's the way that they're going. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Right,
but yeah, I mean, if they are going in order, it's definitely an easy feature to do with that one. So this one actually has some audio to it, so you can hear the crackling, I believe. So yeah, a little feature that they have added in there. So any questions about the presentation? Yeah, the sound guy would have to turn that up for you.
Good luck with that.
I know.
Now, Dustin, when you drag that up to add that background to save it up there, you said something about a blue light. I didn't
A blue line, yes. So whenever you go to add that, you'll see that little blue line. Do you see that up there?
Okay.
And so it'll be the same one down here too on the bottom. That little blue line pops up, and that's just to reorder.
Okay.
Yeah, just to reorder the slides.
Blue, okay.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
that'll add that in. You're welcome. Let's see. And then there's, I mean, various backgrounds. Trip has been awesome as far as finding some wide backgrounds for us. So the wide backgrounds is a section that covers all 3 screens with a clear, it's made to be that large.
Does it say wide?
It does say wide background. I'll take it off so you can see it. Right. It is. But yeah, so I mean, the wide backgrounds has something that's actually 380 or yeah, 3,840 by 1024, which we'll get into the dimensions later. But I mean, it's just a large screen, and so that's what it allows you to do. These don't necessarily, they stretch to fill the screen, but some of the stuff can get a little distorted when we're looking at those pictures. So it's, so just kind of be aware when you're choosing the backgrounds, what it's going to look like when you put it up there and how the presentation is going to look up there on the screens. When you're looking up here in this preview section, you don't necessarily see the screens, all of them together, but when you go live, you can see, you know, so the background just doesn't look good on that one. So just kind of be aware of when you're choosing a background, how it's going to look on that one. And so it'll show you like that. Let's see here. Clear the slides, clear that. All right. So any questions about the presentation for the songs and backgrounds in that section that we just covered? Okay. Next, so after worship, they'll go into the announcements, and then we'll hit up the Bibles. The announcements are their own presentation, and let me go ahead and add this to the schedule. So whenever you're setting things up, I'm jumping back to the schedule for a quick second, but whenever you're setting things up, make sure you do add, if it hasn't already been added, the announcements and the children. Usually Don and Kathy will come back and release the kids, and then Rachel or myself will release the children. But go ahead and add those to the schedule as well. That way when it's time to do that, you can just click on that one, choose the background, and then which ones you're releasing. And the thing with releasing the kids, make sure you do put up the background, because that's kind of their indication. Because currently they're not paying attention. They're not focusing on that. So once I see those clouds, they're like, oh, wait, it's time to go. And so
And some of the backgrounds
they'll take off.
go well with seeing the words of the songs.
Right.
The words are too light.
Right. And so the announcements too, again, once we follow out of worship, we'll go into announcements, that kind of thing. The way it's currently set up, these are all images. And so whenever we get Nikki Black has been doing the images for these, loads them on the PowerPoint, and we'll get them and then load them in here. And so that way, let me take this off. And so that way we'll have the announcements. And
Release some of the announcements.
we'll cover that. And then we'll have, again, the wide backgrounds. Let me do this. And Pastor Mike does like to have moving backgrounds on these two side screens over here. So whenever you're running the announcements, try to have something engaging them into the side screens over there. So,
How did you just do that?
so what you do whenever you start the announcements, just choose whichever one. You're going to start with, basically. Choose that, yeah, and then go back down to your video images section, choose the backgrounds, and then again, just pick one that's moving around, interactive, something fun, happy, whatever. And then it'll, yeah, so, right. But currently the way we have the announcements set up, they're running through a loop. So each slide is on an 8-second loop. So that should give you plenty of time to see the information, read it, and then it'll go through the next one. And that way, kind of, again, keeps people engaged, keeps them drawn in. They're looking, seeing what's going on. You don't. All you have to do is just hit the first slide, and it'll go live. So you click on that first one, and you'll see this little timer right here running across. And so that's where you can see it's getting ready to change to 1, boom, it changes. And so it'll go to the next one. And you'll know which one's highlighted because it highlights it in yellow, or which one's live because it highlights it in yellow. Yes, and so as he's going through the announcements, you can manually go through and change those. As you can see, if I chose this one, it would change to that one, but it's going to change as soon as the timer runs out on that particular slide. So in order to stop that from changing, you'll want to hit this little X right here, and that will stop the slide from changing. The line will still be going through, but it just won't change whenever you go through that. And it just does it for that particular instance. If you're ready to start again, just click on the next slide, and it'll go through and change it whenever the timer runs out on that. Any questions with that, changing the slides? Right, how to stop it, yeah. So it's so you do have the option to stop it if they're talking about a particular slide when they come up and do that. The Bonnie, to your question, if there's a particular slide, for example, when we're going through this, we don't necessarily want the tithe slide to come up. And so we've got that one disabled currently. And so it should skip right over that one.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
We'll go through there and yeah. And so when it's disabled, it'll be gray. And as you can tell, it skipped right over that one and went to this one. But whenever it is time for tithe, you want to put up that slide and then again hit the X and that will stop it. And then it'll have the 4 ways to give. Yep, you can still show it even though it's gray. It just, when it's going through the slides, through the loops, it won't play it. It'll skip over it because it's been disabled.
So the X doesn't actually hold the background up there or the announcement up there?
It does.
Okay.
Yes. So I previously just hit the X on this one before I went live with the output on that one. So once you do hit the X, it doesn't move. So I mean, you can see it scrolling through, but it's not going anywhere. And the only way to get back to the next one would be just to click on the next slide, and then again, it'll start scrolling through on that one.
Okay. Because I've come across announcements that no longer apply, but they're still showing.
And once you go live on that slide, it'll start to pull it back into the mix. And so you would basically just have to reload that announcement on there. Yeah, it pulls it back into the loop. I don't know why it does. Enable and disable. So if there's a slide that you don't want in there,
Right.
you just right click on it and you would disable that slide.
Okay, good. Because some of them are, I mean, I say expired, but.
Right.
Okay.
And that's one thing I try to do on a weekly basis. I go in and try to clean up those slides, add new ones, take out the old ones. And I've been trying to load the songs previously as well. So that way, whenever whoever comes in here, it's preloaded. Loaded. So any questions about that so far?
That answered it. Thank you.
Okay, good deal. And so if we need to add a new slide, we can go through that very quickly. Let's stop this for now. But we'll go in and click on add a slide.
Where you at? I'm sorry. Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, down here.
Okay.
So we'll click on add a slide. And you just click that plus button right there. And it'll throw a new slide in there for you. Once you're in that slide, right click and nope, I'm sorry. We'll go up to the editor. So you'll highlight that slide, click on that editor, and it brings it up. And then you can go through and choose to add an image to the slide. And that's where we're getting that information from, will be from the announcements. And so all the announcements, and again, I'm trying to keep this cleaned up as much as possible so we don't have excess announcements in there. But if there's something that you wanted to add, did you see that, Bonnie, how I was getting in there? So once you click on the editor, this screen comes up. You choose the add image to slide. Choose the announcements over here on the left side. And then you choose whichever one we needed to add. Whatever announcements we have should be preloaded in this one. Click on that one. Choose open, and it adds that one to the slide, and you can expand it and make it fill the screen however you want with that. If for some reason you decide, oh wait, I don't want to do that, right click over here on the left side, delete, and it's gone. And then once you're finished with that, if you got everything done, just hit that X to close the editor panel. And you can just click on the next slide, you're ready to go. And it'll start rolling through. And there is a loop around in there as well, so it'll start back at the beginning once that one's finished. Any questions on those announcements? All right, so once we get through that, we've done all of our 30 minutes worth of announcements, then we'll start jumping into the Word. As we do that, clear the background. And again, personal preference of mine, I like to have just a solid black background when we start doing the words. Makes it easier to see, all that kind of stuff. But you'll click on the Bibles right here, And this will bring up the new way to search for the Bible. So far we've got some versions that are already loaded. If for some reason we have somebody in and they have a different version they like to use, let me know and we can add it in there. We do have to purchase additional ones, so I mean it's not an issue, but we don't want to purchase some that aren't necessary.
Pastor Ned, Pastor Bill, Pastor Ruth,
Yep.
Pastor Ed, are
Yep.
those all in there?
They are, yes.
Cool.
So we should have all of these in there for you. So again, choose the one that you want to use. We do have some free versions too, so if there's something in there, we can always add that one. And so this will give you the Bible information. It shows you New King James, all that kind of stuff. But whenever you're ready, you can actually type in what you're looking for and then hit enter, and it should pull up. It's going to make me a liar. Yeah. Oh, it's over here in the search. Sorry. So Matthew, and we'll search Matthew. And it should bring up all the verses from Matthew that you can search over there. A real easy way to do it, just select a book. And again, you'll have all the books in order over here. And we'll want to go to Matthew. And then the chapters will be next. And then after the chapters, you'll have the verses. So it kind of expands it all out all the way through. What I found, the easiest way, if you can't get the verses ahead of time and load them in the presentation over here, then when you're going through, if they're going to be in Matthew chapter 8, choose Matthew chapter 8, left click on chapter 8, and it'll preload all the verses for chapter 8. You just left click in this area, it'll drop that menu out. And I completely forgot to mention earlier, if the thumbnails are too small for you to see, you can always adjust the size as well to make it larger or smaller to whatever's easiest for you to read. But yes, but this, again, it loads all the verses in chapter 8. And so you just, again, click on it and it'll go live through there. And like Bonnie said before, you can use your arrows left and right to switch through and it'll adjust the slides to move through if they're going in order, or you can actually click on each one as they're going through, whatever is best for you. Everybody has their own process. So you also have the option to do verses too, so you can add additional verses and it'll throw those up there so you can move through that way. So it adds, if you click on these verses down here, it'll add additional verses to the end of it. So you're going down through there, and it should have added those at the end. So you'll be back to Matthew 9, 9:2, 9:3. So if they go on to the next book or something, you can add those verses that way, and it'll populate them for you. You also have the option to do a table view. Yes?
If you're in 8, say 8:1,
Mm-hmm.
and you scroll to, instead of highlighting all of chapter 8, you're just highlighting 8:3, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah, I like the other
if
one
you
better.
want to go, you just go to Matthew 8, 8:3.
Matthew 8:3.
All right, so now hit verse. You see
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
And then you can add the verse on there. Yep. So 8:4,
So what did that just do?
8:5.
The next
Yep.
verse?
It does. It just adds the
That's
next
what I
verse
was
for you.
gonna ask.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you put one scripture, cool.
Yep. And so, I mean, if you're doing that, you can actually search. Put it up there, click on it, next verse, it adds them in there for you.
Because you may not need the whole chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good, good to know.
So,
I like the idea.
yeah. And you can still, again, use your arrows left and right to adjust through that. Sorry. Any questions about that?
how did you get to that
Yeah, how did you get to that?
screen?
Oh, sorry. It's the, you can either do the tiles, the thumbnails, or the table list view. And so it gives you options. It's next to the size, the thumbnail. Boo. So it's all adjustable. Same thing with these down here. Those are adjustable as well. So if you're having a hard time seeing what it is, you can adjust that and make it larger or smaller. No. It's for the young and old at heart. So any questions with that? You can also add the verses to the schedule. So you can save the selected playlist. And so Amos 1:5. And so it'll actually add that to the playlist. So again, if you can get the verses, whoever the speaker's going through, then you can actually add those to the schedule. And when it comes time to do the Bible, after you do the announcements, put that up there, and then you just go back and you can click on the verses, and it'll pull those up for you.
Can you show me how you do that again? How you added it to the playlist?
Yes, so click on that little gear down there, the little drop down, and save to playlist.
Oh, I didn't think you could do that. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. It looks like it does, yes.
So in our church, it's a little more difficult to get, I mean, you should be able to get the scripture verses that they plan on using.
Right.
Preload those in your playlist.
Right. Right. Yes. That's right. Mm-hmm. And just be aware too, whenever you do add those to the playlist, it does create a presentation over here on this side. So whenever you're finished, as you're searching, you'll see those previous verses that we're going through. You'll see those loaded up in the presentation as well. And that's where when you're searching, I mean, if somebody's looking for a previous something, you can search just for the Bibles, and it'll pull up just the Bible verses that have been preloaded ahead of time.
Do you want them to save it? Do you want it to save them? Or no?
It does it automatically. So whenever you add it, save it to the playlist, it'll do that automatically. So
Back on 7:26, we were looking at Amos 7:8.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And so those were added on there. That's when those were added in.
So that library is going to be massive.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Do you
Yeah.
want to do it?
And I mean, again, you can. But I mean, I'm just going through doing maintenance periodically, so that's one of those things that I'll go through. If you think about it when you're finished and you want to like, hey, we don't need that one anymore, right click and delete.
Okay. Yeah,
And it's going to say, are you sure you want to permanently delete the file? Okay. And so it'll take that one out of the schedule. Or the library, I'm sorry.
Was it good for in first service when you had the scriptures, you can save it for the second?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. To the play. So when you've got the scriptures, we'll open up the Bible again. And you want to save it, you click on that little arrow with the gear, and it'll drop down and save to selected playlist. So the selected playlist is going to be this one over here, the 10.1, the one that we're working on for tomorrow. And so we'll drop down and save to selected playlist, and it'll add that one on there.
So it's in the library automatically, but you have to save it.
Correct, yes. And if it's already added to the library, then you can just, again, drop it in there, and you'll have multiples in there for that.
And so, if you're searching for if you go to the library and hit search and do a different one other than Amos, do like whatever, John 3:16.
If it's something we've used before,
Yeah.
it'll show up in the library. If it's not something we've used before, then you would have to open up the Bible app within ProPresenter and load it in that way. And one thing too, when you open up the Bible app, you click on the icon and it opens it up, and you click on it again and it'll close it. Same thing for the video and images. Click on it to open and to close. So all those apps work the same way. Open, close, open, close. So any questions about the Bible verses? Added those in there.
The list where you've got the songs,
Mhm.
can you delete them from there, or do you have to do it from the library?
I'm not sure I understand what you're
In
asking.
other words, you know how you have this, how you deleted the scripture from the library, but you had it down on the playlist where the songs are?
Yes.
So you deleted it from the library, not the playlist. Does it matter?
I deleted it from the playlist.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so you can still see it up here in the library, 781.
Yeah.
It's not in here, but you can see it up there.
Oh, okay.
So if you do delete it from the playlist,
Yeah.
it'll still be in the library.
Okay.
But if you delete it from the library, it'll take it out of the playlist as
Okay.
well.
Right.
And then
The library is just all the previous.
Right.
that's our database of all the songs, all the scriptures, all the announcements we've ever done. My suggestion would be do not go through and delete things out of the library
Right.
just for personal preference, because I mean, I don't want to have to go through and add a bunch of stuff in.
No, I don't
I would prefer that nobody delete anything from the library. But I mean, if you need to take something out of a playlist, then do that. That way we don't accidentally delete songs that we don't need to delete. Yeah, right. And then, yes, Lanisha. No, they weren't. Basically, yes. What I've had to do on some of the songs, when we initially got started, I went through like 4 or 5 months worth of songs and basically copy and paste the lyrics from Easy Worship to ProPresenter, because you can't export the database. There was no way to do that. So I had to go through and do that. And so that's why I'm kind of loading the songs in ahead of time each week. So it's not something you guys come in and have to scramble to try to find the songs, import them, and go through that whole process. Right. Right. Yes. Yes.
So in that case, I didn't put the words up because it was like on the spot and they check it and then kind of started
Right.
feedback.
Yes.
Since I was late, did I miss how to go and add a brand new song?
You haven't. We're getting ready to do that next, I think. Yeah, that's next on the schedule.
Thank you, Justin, for doing all that work for us.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. No worries. Yay. So any questions about the Bibles before we move forward? Oh, there was one more thing I was going to add too. So if they're going through a scripture and they're quoting scripture, but you don't know where it's at, you can actually search through there, and it'll bring up the scriptures that have it in there. So, I mean, if you can, start typing out what they're reading, you can actually go through and it'll bring up everything that quotes whatever you have in there. So it is a neat little feature that they have within that one. All right. What? No, it searches every book in the Bible. Yes.
How about songs? Does it do that with songs when you're looking for songs?
It does, yes. So, I mean, if you're looking for the lyrics, and over here in the library, you would just search for the songs. Again, that's just if the song is loaded in the library. If the song's not in there, then it won't pull it out for you. So.
We want all the songs that we have ever done or had or seen or heard in there.
Exactly, yes. Any possible song that would be going over, that is something we can do. And so that's a nice segue into our next section, because as songs come up and you guys wanted to add them, you can do it. So let's do this. I prefer to use Firefox, but anytime we're doing a song, I mean, I can't think of a name of a song right now.
Amazing Grace.
Okay. Amazing Grace. Lyrics. And so we'll pull that up. Ta-da! There's Amazing Grace. And so we'll highlight. Does everybody know how to search through Google? I mean, I don't want to skip anything if anybody's unaware. So basically just open up Mozilla Firefox and then go to Google and then type in the song that you're looking for and then lyrics, and typically it'll pull it up. A to Z Lyrics is one of those websites that I really like. It typically includes everything, so this would be one of them, A to Z Lyrics. But again, we're not doing Dolly Parton. But yeah, we do. So you'll highlight the song, right-click, and copy. And we'll minimize that. And then we'll open up Notepad. It seems like an extra step, but the reason I like to do that is Notepad takes away any formatting or editing that would be within the website and just strictly puts in the lyrics.
Where did you get Notepad from?
It's on the taskbar right beside ProPresenter in Firefox. I've got it preloaded down there. So you just click on that, open it up, right-click, paste, and then select all, copy. And again, you're just pasting it in there. You can edit it if you need to add anything in there, however it goes. Right-click. You could separate it here, yeah. Usually 3 or 4 lines, I think, is the way it's set to, no, I'm sorry, it's set to paragraph. So you can, each time you hit enter, it creates a new paragraph. I once was blind, but now I see. Oops. So we'll separate that. Please don't judge my separation. I'm just example. So select all. So we've got all those. We've got multiple chorus, verse, bridge, whatever it may be. Again, we're going to copy, and then we're going into ProPresenter. On the top, we've got the drop-down menus. So we'll click on File. And previously I told you could add a song with new. So if you're just typing in the song, if you couldn't find it on Google or anything, you want to type it in, you can click on new and it'll add that. What I found is easier is searching, load it in the Notepad, and then go to File, Import, and you have an option to import a file from Clipboard or from a PowerPoint. To import text from Clipboard, which is where you copy it. When you copy it, it saves it to the clipboard. And once you do that, it brings it up and it separates it. These are some preset configurations, but paragraph break is the way it's currently set up. So that's why I created those paragraphs. Before it was a line break, and it just broke up the song way too much. One change that has to be made on this page for it to work is to adjust the size where it comes in. And I haven't found a way to adjust this by default, but do a custom size and then just change it to 1280. And what that does, that sets the screen so that it fits just on this middle screen right here. So it just fits on the middle screen and doesn't overflow into the outside screens. And it also helps the font preservation as well whenever that's imported. And again, I told you before we had the categories. So we have the presentation, the Bible, and the announcements. When we go to search, you want to make sure it always says presentation. The template, just leave it default. And then the destination will import it into the library. And so that'll save it in there. And then don't import right away. You want to go in and edit. And this is where you can go through and add whatever information you need to. So whoever the artist is, add them in there. Oops. Tomlin, the author, copyright. I do like to display the copyright information. And then if you have the CCLI number, add that in there. Let's see. If it's not listed on there, I don't see it. I'll have to go back later and look it up. Whenever we do our reporting, we always like to have that information. But at this point, you should see all the slides in there loaded. You can kind of go through, read, make sure everything looks the way it's supposed to.
And let me ask you, this is wherever you have a page break, paragraph break.
Yes.
Put it in there automatically. That's good.
It does import it automatically. So where we went through and did that, it creates a separate slide for each one of those paragraph breaks.
But you have to title it, right?
We do, yes. And so if for some reason you import it and you see that, hey, this shouldn't be part of that, that needs to be part of the bridge. So we'll just put the cursor where you want it, and insert a slide break. and it'll create a new slide over here for just those lyrics.
Now, what if you wanted to add the 2 lines that you just took off to the previous slide or whatever?
Then you would highlight, cut,
Okay.
hit enter or return, and paste. And you would paste that in there.
Okay.
And again, it still leaves that slide in there, but you can always go through later and delete it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And so it'll take that one out there and keep it clean. But you know what? That's a really big slide. So whenever we go live up there, it's not going to look right. So even though this could be all of verse 2, we don't want it to be that much on one screen. So let's insert a slide break, and we'll have 2 slides on there. And again, Bonnie had just asked about listing the slides. So it makes it easy when you're trying to go through and click on each individual song. So what you'll want to do, hit that little drop-down arrow and new group. And it gives you the options over here. We have some that are already preloaded with the verses, the chorus, the bridge, the tag. Typically, the bridge is going to be at the end of a song. And so we'll want to add that in there. And again, you get the white category on that one. This is part of verse 2, and this is part of verse 2. So instead of going through and adding this one and this one, if you go to the topmost, to the beginning of the verse, click on it again, new group, this will be verse 2. It'll populate everything down. So this will be verse 2, and this will be verse 2. Then let's say we have chorus. I don't think we have pre-chorus in there. Yeah. So again, it'll populate down. So if we do this one, this will be chorus, new group, these 2. So we can add chorus 1 or chorus 2. Tell you what, let's do this one. We'll do chorus 2 on this one. Chorus 2. This one, we'll do chorus 1. So basically, just try to go through and organize the song as best possible. And that way, whenever somebody else comes back around and they see it like, oh, okay, let's go to the chorus. Oh, no, we're going to go to verse 2. And you can go through and click on it that way. Let me get this last one. Do verse 1. Where do we go? Group label. And then verse 1. And so as you can see on this right side, you've got everything color-coded. It's organized. Everything looks correct as far as the spelling and grammar. And say that again.
His first name is Christ,
His first name is Christ?
not Christ. It's Chris.
Chris?
Chris Tomlin instead of Christ.
Chris. Oh.
That's all right.
All right, there we go.
Okay, let's not be picky
Okay,
there.
I missed that one.
We're just playing. We're not kidding.
All right, so
We've already got it in there.
thank you for my correction. So we've got everything on there. We are good. We've got verses, everything set up. The font looks good. All the grammar is correct now. So we're good to go. So we'll import. Bum, bum, bum. Ta-da. So now we have Amazing Grace in our library, but it's not in our schedule. So again, you just left click, hold it, drag down, and then release your left click, and it adds it to the schedule. As you can tell, it loaded it in there, but there's no background. All these other songs have backgrounds when we go to them. And we covered this before, so what we're going to do, again, choose your background. Just be aware of the background that you're choosing. Don't get something that's going to be like crazy for a slow song. You want to make sure you choose the right background for the right song. And so we'll choose this one. We'll drag it up. We're looking for that little blue line that pops up, and that'll add it before the slide. And so, but you see when you add it in there, it labeled it as verse 1, but that's not part of verse 1. So we're going to right click on it. Let's see, slide label. And so we're going to slide label. Is that right? Hold on. Where did the background go? Sorry, I'm looking for background. Gonna play the background. Why did that not work? Delete. Yeah, that's the background. Oh, black. I'll have to go back and look at that. Sorry. That's a slip on my fault. But you add the background in there, and then you can go forward and go through that. But you see on here, you've got the words on there that we loaded. We can go through, click on everything, but it just doesn't pop. The format's just not right. So,
Can I stop you for 1 second?
yes.
On the background, it's better to add it in the library, wouldn't it, than the presentation or the playlist, I mean? Because when you go back to Amazing Grace,
It saves it.
it does save the library.
It does save it, yes. So if you add it in the library or the playlist, it'll save it on both sides, yes.
So how do you get it so it's just the background though, so it doesn't have the words?
Clear the slide up here, and you'll just have background.
So what do
Is that what you were asking?
do?
Nothing. That's it. So we've got the background and then the slides. But the slides, the font is just kind of blah. And
Say something on the first slide, Dustin, the words underneath it right there.
It
Yeah,
does.
That's what he was trying to work on.
it does, yeah. The bouncing blobs, it's just showing that right there. It's supposed to say background.
That's what the back slide is. Okay,
Right,
that's
yeah.
what the slide's called.
Yeah, that's the name of the slide. So that's verse 1, that's chorus 1, that's chorus 2. So it goes through that way. So whenever you import a song, it's going to import it by default, and it's not going to have the bold, you're not going to have the shadows, the outline. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on Format, and you'll want to do this for every song that you do import. And everything should be preloaded, so we're going to do, excuse me, 75 will be the size font, that'll be the color, alignment, and this is where we'll have the shadow and then the outline. And all you have to do basically is just click Apply to All. And you'll see it'll go through and change everything for the slides. And so it goes through and makes everything bold. Now the slide that we have up there live is still the old font. So you just have to click on it again and it'll change it to the new font. And so you'll see that it changed it. So now it's a little more easier to read. It's better looking, everything like that. But everything's already preloaded, so all you have to do is just hit Apply to All whenever you get to that slide. Yes?
One thing we do not want to do is change the aerial size.
Correct. Yes.
As long as you just hit Apply to All.
Everything should be good.
All you do is hit Format, Apply to All, and it's done.
So you
Right.
have to put 75 if it's an import, right?
Nope, everything stays that way. So everything, like, I mean, nothing changes. So that's one of those things. And that way we can stay uniform across all the slides. Let's just leave that at 75.
You don't have to add it, it's already there.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
As long as nobody messes with that.
Right.
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 Everything will be consistent and uniform. And again, it's just one of those little apps. You hit the format, it brings it up. You click Apply to All. You can see it's applying in Amazing Grace. And then click Format again, and it takes it away. It wipes it out.
Okay, another question, is it doing that to all the slides in the playlist or just this one?
Just this one. Yes.
You
So,
can do it to a song in the playlist.
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You can do it to any song in the playlist.
So
Um,
then I guess the important thing to remember is if you're putting this song in there, we need to be sure to do that.
Correct.
The other ones that you've taken off the library are already done.
They're already formatted, correct. So yeah, this is just with the new songs. I mean, it would help me quite a bit if you guys too, as you're going through, if you see something that, you know, hey, this one should be larger than what it is, but it's not. There was one we pulled in earlier. I think it was this one. Yeah. So Happy Day is one of those where whenever it got imported, the format didn't get adjusted. So, I mean, you can see that it just doesn't look bold. It's not popping. So you hit Apply to All. It saves those settings, drops it in there. Oh, let me click on it first. And then you click on it, and it adjusts it, so it looks better. Now, one thing, again, personal preference, and I mean, I would appreciate it if we could all do this, but every slide, it's nice when it looks uniform. You don't want to have these one words on the next line. So we can choose that and click Editor and go through and adjust each slide like that. Or, let's turn Editor off. Or if there's one particular slide, right-click, Quick Edit. This way you can go through,
Again, I'm sorry, I was writing.
right-click, and then Quick Edit. It's that first option up there.
Okay.
And when you quick edit, as you're editing, you can still go through and click on songs and change the songs that you need to. So it's not going to freeze you up in the presentation. You can still go through, but you can, let's enter this one. So press enter. Oh, wait, we're switching songs. Let's go over here. All right, now we'll go to this one. And let's separate it here and separate it here. And so you can go through, you finish, you close it, and it saves those changes for that. Any questions on that one? Yep, absolutely. Yeah, our previous software did not allow that. I mean, once you go into edit, you are locked in. You cannot switch songs, and I mean, you're going to get that turnaround and look at you if you're not on the right lyrics or whatever. So this is a great feature as far as that. Yep.
So is that the same place where if the word is spelled wrong?
You could go in and edit it there as well, yes. So, I mean, if you miss something grammatically when you're going through there, like, oh no, I should have changed that. Right-click, quick edit, you know, change it however it needs to be, and then close it back.
Words are not spelled correctly, and I don't know how to fix them. Because
Right.
the other one, I would just go in and fix it, and then I don't. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we'll have that one, and
Right. Cool.
that one should be good to go. So we'll close that. Do we have any questions about anything so far? Mm-hmm. Right click and then quick edit. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. You click where you want the cursor to be and it'll change it in there. So for example, we don't want ending in there. And so we take that out and then just close it, and it does save it automatically. And it saves it over here. It adjusts it in the library as well. So whenever we do this, happy day. And so you'll see that it saves it in the library too. So it's save that. Yep, exactly. So did anybody have any questions about that? Importing songs into our library, adding them to our schedule, and then formatting them when we come up here? Nope. Awesome. So that is everything I had as far as the presentation, what we typically need on a Sunday or Wednesday morning. One thing I will add in, before the service, Pastor Mike does like to have some audio playing in the background. He does like to have the announcements scrolling through as well, so you guys do know how to run those announcements before the service and then in between services as well. So make sure you are running those announcements. If you are back here, let's clear the slides. So make sure you are running those announcements if you're back here. And then the music, we do have an iPod back here, but lately we've been running through YouTube, which seems to be, you know, you get a nice variety of music. But whenever you, again, open up Firefox, you can just go to YouTube and you'll see a list of kind of songs that have been played through. And we've been running that. One important thing to remember though, if we're running through YouTube, kind of be aware of the commercials. Keep the volume down on those. So whatever song you choose, you're going to have commercials in the beginning. Just mute them until you can skip them. And then once you can skip them, then just unmute or have the sound guy, whoever's back there, to do that if they're paying attention. If not, then, I mean, just do that. Be aware of that. And also, make sure before we start the live stream, whoever's on the switcher back here doing the live stream, make sure we're not streaming any kind of pre-recorded music on the live stream. We don't want to have any copyright issues with that kind of stuff. So make sure you're cooperating, collaborating with the person on the switcher, and before they go live, just let me know. I'll pause the music or whatever it may be. But we should be starting the service in a perfect world on whenever it's ready to go. So 9:15, have the music stopped, have the ProPresenter ready to go, and we'll be good to go on that.
So basically, make sure that music is not playing while.
Correct. Yes. Live streaming, yes.
So how did you get the sound up there, just by
What's that?
clicking it? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know. I've actually been thinking about doing that. That might be. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it might definitely be worth it to do something like that. Oh, you can? Okay. Awesome. Yeah, well, we might have to do that. Yeah. Then we can add it through this one, go through the audio, and add the songs that we want, and we can just do it through ProPresenter. So, thanks, Derek. We might actually do that. Take some time.
So how did you get the sound?
Questions? It comes through the soundboard. So, yeah, so all the audio comes through there. And that's where, I mean,
It's not really automatic, we mute it.
right.
Okay.
But from the computer, you don't have to do anything. It comes through. So, I mean, from your perspective, it's automatic. We just have to adjust the levels over here on this side. So,
The internet instead of ProPresenter, right?
yes,
Right.
we are. Yes, ma'am.
But that's a great option. That way, we put it in that playlist. Click, done. Won't have to pull up YouTube at all.
And we only have it, right? That's
Always.
Yes.
Because you can bring it to the list and have it. Playlist. Right.
But we just have to run on the
Right.
So, do you guys have any questions about any of the ProPresenter stuff that we went through?
What'd you say, Dustin?
Do you guys have any questions from the ProPresenter stuff that we went through?
This is good, but I'm more hands-on. That's me.
Mhm.
I'm hands-on. Look
Yeah.
at it, you know, that way.
Absolutely.
Plus, I watch videos. That was cool.
Yeah, if you guys want to get back here and jump on and go through this, you're more than welcome to. I'll clear everything and let you jump in, and you guys can adjust. But that's all I have as far as the.
On some of the songs that we've got in there, I was doing words one day and it was very chocolate.
Switch to number 2.
Slide. And the song was really quick. Had to keep.
Oh, yeah.
Those we need to change.
Yes,
See,
abs-
us to change them because I don't like that.
Remember, Dustin, I was showing you that one?
So, did somebody want to come back here and sit down on the
No, I'm good. I'm good.
computer, play with it?
No, I think everybody needs to come down here and at least do a startup from start, so that we can practice doing this.
Close it all out.
Yeah, look into that YouTube, Rick, 'cause it's, I think the download offline is just to a mobile device. Actually, I know one of the new
All right.
services too.
So the ProPresenter is going to be on your taskbar down there.
But getting ready to add is great.
So, yeah, just-
It's just
That's
going
that's
up.
the way to do it. So walk through the steps,
Mm-hmm.
talk through the steps as Josiah is doing this, if you don't mind.
All right. So we're in here. Are you left-handed? awesome. So you'll see on the left side, you'll have your schedule and all that kind of stuff. So we've got the playlist already set. We've got a couple songs that are already loaded in there previously, but let's add, you know, 1 or 2 more songs. So go through there, and I mean, you can pick whatever songs they want. If you want to search for a particular song that you want, it doesn't. So you can just left click and then drag it in there. Yeah. And drop it in there. So you've added that one in there. Let's add one more song. And go through. And then anytime you add the songs, you do want to go through and just make sure that the words are correct, everything like that, so you don't have to do that later on. Do you remember how to adjust the size of the screens over there?
You talking about for
Yeah.
his view right
Yeah,
here?
so you can adjust that right there. So it's a smaller view if you want to.
Yeah, those young eyes. Can
That's
see
right.
that Small.
So yeah, so just kind of look through there and make sure everything's good. I did notice on that one that we don't have any background. So if you want to go through and choose a background, we've got multiple options. So yeah, go through and choose whichever one you want. Yeah, we'll have to make that change whenever you get on there. Yep.
Good job.
There we
Pay
go.
attention.
So we got the background. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yep.
Nice job.
So we got it up there. You can switch between the songs. If you wanted to use the arrows, you could, or if you wanted to click on it. And it'll just go through order. Yep. And then if they're, yep, clear all takes it all away. Put them back up there again, and then we'll go through. I mean, if they break off and stop singing and they just start jamming, take just the lyrics away. So it'll be just the slides. Yep, you can have the background, and then you can go through and change the background if you want while they're doing that. Have something more worshiping. Yeah, and then go back. You want to put the lyrics back up there again. They're going through the next one. Yep. So that's it. Did you have any questions about anything throughout the process? Okay.
Okay, so
Cool.
Josiah, bring up the speaking is about to start, so you want to bring up some if they're getting ready to speak, you need to bring up the Bible verses. And so on the fly, he's going to say, all right, I want John 3:16.
And if you're doing that, you could actually type it in on this one. If you're looking for specifically, you can click in that box and type John 3:16.
And what's the other side for then, that he's in?
For searching, so if you're,
Oh, the words, searching for God so loved the world.
yeah,
I got you.
and so that'll put that up there.
Do you understand that, Josiah? That this one was, if you're word searching, you could say, for God so loved the world, or in the other one, if you're looking for the scripture.
You can actually type it out, John
in the
3:16.
chapter.
Yeah. And you know how to add additional verses on that one. So you go down to the bottom. Yeah. And then it'll add the next one and the next one.
That background slide is like, yo, so God loved the world.
That's right. Again, that's fitting. It shows a good background for the right
Oh,
one.
I like that.
But it's almost, see how the red doesn't stand out too well though?
Yeah.
See, stuff like that one doesn't stand out too well, see?
Yep. Well, that was it's got audio with it.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to it.
Cool.
Which one was it?
That mouse is really fast.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's. Yeah, that one.
Oh, that's a chili cook-off teaser.
Of course, awesome. I ain't gonna want that when he's preaching.
Yeah.
Boom.
No, probably not.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. That's awesome.
Good job.
Derek, you're up.
So we'll add the new playlist, 10.2. And so now just go through and populate some songs.
These are songs here.
Yes, those are everything in the library.
Oh.
So how about search for one, Derek, for, what's that? What's the?
Good father.
Good Father.
I see you don't have no longer slaves in there.
Yeah, no, oh, that's what I was thinking of, but Good Father's different. Which I don't see it in there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go find it, import it, and do all that. For my benefit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not real familiar with doing that. Let's build a song in there. Are you familiar with it, Josiah? Bringing in a song that's
Yeah, no longer
not
slaves
really
is
there.
in there
Is it
either.
okay if I excuse myself?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically you guys are just going.
Why is that part of that highlighted?
Right.
So that one's a little bit harder to
Mm-hmm.
to see.
And so that has it through there. It's usually a pretty clean load. Mm-hmm.
And then we go to what, clipboard?
The notepad down there on the
Okay.
bottom, it's beside ProPresenter. Yeah.
It's way
You'll
over
have to
there.
drag it over. It's on that middle screen. So just move your mouse to the right. Go all the way to the right. Nope. You have to make it big again. And then go all the way to the right with your mouse. Just drag your mouse. Keep going.
Bring it to the
There you go.
screen or to the
And now, yeah. Control V. And I
For
would,
this purpose there, Derek, if you want to drag it over so you
Yeah.
can see it here, you don't have to work on it up there on the,
do you know how to drag it back over?
Hit it over here on the screen.
Yeah,
Hold your mouse
and then
down
just drag it back to the
There you
left.
go. There
Yeah.
you go.
Did, it didn't grab.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
ah, sweet. So it looks to me like,
What did you just put?
Wait a second.
No.
Before you do that, let's go through and edit, because I see a lot of things that need to be taken out. So that 4X. Yeah, and that way, that'll kind of help you later on. You don't have to edit as much in the
do one
program.
more, yeah. So it'll-
Yeah. And kind of go through there. There you go. And scroll up, make sure everything's clean up top. Got one more. And then you can do Control A to select all. And then Control C to copy. There you go. And now it's saved on the clipboard without any formatting or anything like that. And you'll go back into ProPresenter, go to File. There you go.
up there left.
All the way on the top. Those little drop-down menus, yeah. File,
File.
import from clipboard, yep. And then you'll want to go through, yep,
You did 1280.
customize size. And then we're taking out that 3840, 1280, yeah. And what that is, that 3840, is basically the full length of
That'd be
that
huge.
screen. It is.
Yeah.
But it's like having one really large screen up there, so that's why it's that.
Write that down on a piece of paper and put up there so
We can.
that part I'll probably look at.
What?
And then edit before you import.
Oh,
Yeah. And you'll see whenever it imports it in, the title, You Unravel Me with a Melody, typically pulls the first lyrics out. So you'll want to go through and make sure you title the song correctly.
Good, good father.
No,
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 that's what he did something different.
Oh, no longer father. We didn't have this one in there?
No,
Okay.
surprisingly enough.
And then the artist, go ahead and add that one.
Is it Bethel?
Jonathan and Melissa.
Well, you can just go
Helfer.
back to the, when
Okay.
he's got it, pull it up and see who the artist is.
Oh, yeah, go to your clipboard. Or
To the Mozilla,
Yeah,
yep,
internet.
right there. And then scroll up.
Bethel.
Huh. Is that their lyrics?
Scroll down,
It's their song.
yeah.
Is it? I thought it was the Helzer song. I thought it was Jonathan and Melissa
No
Helzer
longer, is that
wrote
no
it.
longer slaves?
Yes.
No
Yeah.
longer slaves?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Huh.
RL. Nope, go back two more.
Like I said, I can't see.
There you go, EL, yeah.
Okay.
We don't have that information, right?
Display copy, no, we don't have the CCLI and that kind of stuff, so I'll have to look that up later.
Leave that blank in.
Yes. Yeah, just try to populate everything you can. If you don't have it, then don't worry about it.
Well, check the words.
So then,
Mm-hmm.
Big group. You want your glasses, Derek?
yeah,
Right. Are they up here on the?
they're on that chair on the front row.
Yep, that's verse 1.
Did all of them.
Yep. You see, I mean, as you start out, if you do the first one, it'll populate all of them the same.
But it will change it on the fly.
And then as you go through and edit it, yeah, it'll change it.
Chorus 1.
Mm-hmm.
This will verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one chord, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So is this a verse or a bridge?
I would say maybe a verse. Scroll down.
I don't know if we normally sing these.
Mm-hmm. I would just do the next two as a verse, and then
Just these two? As a
yeah. So do that top one, and then it'll populate the next two. We'll do verse 3.
verse 3.
You've already done verse 2, right? Yep.
So this would be verse 4.
You split the C so I can walk right through it. My favorite trail. That might be another. That's not part of the chorus, is it? Split the C. Give me another left hand.
Isn't that-
Child of
isn't
God.
that
Yeah.
shown on
All right.
line?
So verse.
Doesn't that show online? Can you pull it up and see if it shows the verse of the chorus?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you can't. I don't think it does though.
Oh,
Not on the lyrics that we pulled up. So go to new group. I don't think we have a verse 4. So you can add bridge 1 and then the next one's going to be bridge 2, I guess. Actually, click on other. We can
Chorus 2.
Or slide color.
click on other. We can add verse 4 if we need to. Label is verse 4. And then color. Let's choose. Let's do brown. I don't think that one's being used yet. And then, okay. Yep. And then that would be the bridge. And that would be it. There we go.
That's a chorus. The last one's a chorus, isn't it?
Let's scroll back up and we can look at that. Yep. So you can label that last one as chorus 1 if you want to, because it's the same one. And what this does when you import it, it looks like they already have the flow set up. So you'll see you have multiple choruses of the same. If you want to take those out of there, you can, or if you want to leave them in there, you can to kind of help you go through.
So import.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I prefer less.
And so it leaves it in there. Right. Import, apply to all. Yep.
Nice.
It goes through, adjusts the font for all those, and we need to do one more thing.
Yep.
I wanna play the background. Sorry, I won't sing anymore.
automatically in the back at the extension of the building, right, when they make creative, yeah.
Yeah, this software has an option for stage display.
That'll be good.
And yeah, and so we'll have that projected up there once we
Yeah,
get that set
that'll
up.
be really good.
Yeah, you can scroll left and right, and if you choose not to use the mouse. And then go ahead and clear the words off. Not everything, that takes everything off.
Yeah.
So on the left side,
Yeah.
on the top, those icons, it'll be the slides. The slides will be all the words, and the backgrounds will be the pictures, if that helps you keep it straight. And then clear all just makes the screen black.
Yeah, I don't like it black.
Yep.
No, it's actually blackout function.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's the blackout function.
So if you
Or
want
is
to
it
bring
the
it back,
services over?
click slides.
You click on the slide you want to bring back. So you'll have to choose which image you want to put back up there again. If you, because the icons on the left are just clears. So that clears the slide, that clears the background, but it doesn't put it back up there. So you actually have to choose which one you want up there. There you go. So you'll see you put just the words up, and then if you choose that background, it clears those words. And then you have to choose the words again. Yep.
Background first.
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to try to pull up some Bibles next. We'll go through the announcements. Choose the Bible. Let's search for John 3:16 again. So John, colon, 3:16. And then press enter. And it pulls it up for you.
And then you can reverse down there to go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say right there? Oh, yeah.
So if you go to you go backwards or forwards.
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and then do you remember how to add that to the playlist? That little gear on the bottom of that window. Hit that little, yeah. Save to selected playlist. You got it.
I'll get it eventually.
So now it adds 15 and 16. And once you're finished with the Bibles, let's go ahead and take that app away. So click on that one. Yep. And it prints it back up there. And now you're back in your playlist setting. And so that's what you have saved on the playlist.
Okay.
And that is it. Do you have any questions about anything else?
I don't think so at this point.
Okay.
It just takes me a few times doing something.
That's okay. Yeah,
it'll clean it.
absolutely.
It'll come
And, you know, it's okay to start, if we can just get you started.
All right, so that wraps it up. We are finished. Hope you guys enjoy that. If you have any questions, let us know. God bless.